John, how you doing today?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. My name's Joe.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you. So what are we looking at for you today, John?
My roof.
Your roof?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Having any issues with your roof?
Just a few. It's pretty old and it's starting to leak upstairs in the bathroom.
Okay, gotcha. Well, just to give you an idea of what we'll accomplish for you today, first I'm going to give you a little information about our company. I'm sure if and when you decide to do a project like this, you want to work with a company that's reputable, right?
Right.
Next thing I'll do is tell you how putting a new roof on your home is an investment. It does this through three major ways: increase equity, resale value, and then energy savings. Last thing I'm going to do for you is tell you a little bit about the differences of qualities of roofing systems here in your market. In the Toledo area, a roof can run anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a square installed. A square is about 100 square feet. So I'm sure you can agree there's a big difference in quality between $500 and $2,000, right?
Right, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. So my job is just to explain those differences to you so you have that information for the if and when. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Awesome. And then last but not least, I'm going to put everything down on paper so you have that when I go, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Well, at this point here, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to do an inspection of your roofing system, get up in the attic, and then just kind of see how everything's looking so that we have a good understanding of what's going on with your roof. So before I go up there, you said you had a leak in your bathroom. Are you having any other issues with your roof at all?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of? Okay. And how old is the roof?
So we moved in about 30 years ago, so I think 27 maybe, 28.
27 years?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. All right, well, give me about 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to go outside, get up on the roof, take my measurements, then get in your attic as well, okay?
Okay.
All righty. At this point, you would go outside, get up on the roofing system, take pictures, do an inspection. You're also going to pull a hover 3D measurement system for the roof, and then you're going to come inside and get in the attic as well. Hey, John.
Hey, Joe.
All right, so I was able to get up on your roof, took some pictures for you. That way you can see what I'm seeing. And let me show you here. So I usually like to start just going through some of this stuff. Now, do you get on your roof very often?
Only for Christmas lights.
Only for Christmas?
Yeah.
All right. So some of this you may have seen before, but I'm just going to go through it. So this is your garage roof here. As you can see, you have some different areas where the shingles are kind of worn. It makes sense, it being 27 years old.
Right.
Usually those darker areas are where you're starting to lose your granules, which are the kind of little gravel pieces that go on top of your shingle. So you can see several areas, they're starting to wear out and fade. Usually at about 20 years or more, you start to see this happening. And then in certain areas, you can see it's even more aggressive. The problem is those shingles or the granules are the real protecting part of your shingle. So once those go, your shingle's really not going to be doing its job anymore. You also had a few areas where you have some holes worn right through your shingles.
Oh,
so do you see this kind of white stuff in there?
Yeah.
So that's fiberglass. So your shingles, fiberglass is part of the component that makes up your shingle. And on a really sunny day on a roof like this, you'd usually see, it almost looks like it's wet in some areas. It's got that like reflective. That's the fiberglass breaking through the shingle. So not really something you want to see up on your roofing system. It's a good indicator that the time is drawing near, if you will. So you can see here just some more areas where it's worn. So even though from a distance it looks like the roof isn't in terrible shape, you get up a closer look and you start to see some of these things. Looks like you do have a ventilation system up on your roof, which is great. This one here actually in particular seems to be a winged ventilation system, which helps draw air out of your attic. We use something similar, a little bit more updated. I'll show you about it in a minute, just to make sure you're getting a lot of good airflow. If you notice your roof, you don't really have any dips or sags. Those are going to come if you don't have enough ventilation. So the last thing you want to do is put a new roof on and then not have it ventilated properly, because then you'll have those issues that you've never had before. I'm guessing if you're doing a roof, you're trying to make it better, not worse, right?
Right.
Okay, so this here on the front, do you see that discoloration?
Yeah.
So most people think that's dirt. That's actually algae that develops up on your roofing system. It's an airborne algae. So even if you don't have trees, like you don't have any trees over your roof, that can actually carry over from your neighbor's roof. Then it starts to spread. Usually you see that about 5-10 years on a roof, and then it starts to get worse and looks kind of not very pleasant. And then this is your second story. I get up and get a closer look for you. So have you had anyone else come out and take a look at the roof for you yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, awesome. So this is the front porch. You can see some more of that staining, that algae. Let me see here. So again, you can see the roof is laying fairly flat still. Usually that's a good indicator that you don't have any rotted decking. And then let me get up on the roof. So I'm glad I got up there because this is the top of your roof.
Oh,
So you see here how your ridge cap, this is what goes on the peak of your roof. This is all starting to break down and decompose, or decomposition. That's the right word, right? It looks like you've even had maybe a repair done. Have you had any repairs done to the roof?
We probably did like 10 years ago.
10 years ago? Okay.
I had some stuff blow off up there.
Gotcha. Well, if you look here, this area of the roof, even the field of the roof or the larger sections is more worn as well. Sometimes that's just because it's more exposed to the weather as opposed to being kind of protected by the garage wall like I showed you. But if you look all the way down here, this is really starting to come apart. Usually when the shingles get in this position, you can kind of just break them apart with your hands. And unfortunately in our area, we get weather that's a lot worse than just someone going up there with their hands, right?
Right.
So all the way down, it's having issues. You can see here lots of areas in the field of your roof where it's got the dark discolorated patches where the shingles are wearing out. This is your pipe boot. So I took a closer picture. You have a couple of them up here. So this is made out of rubber around your pipe. And over time, what happens is the UV rays from the sun hit that rubber and it causes it to dry rot. And then when you got the nice temperature swings like we get around here, it causes the expansion and contraction. And eventually, because it's so brittle, it starts to split apart. So you can see here that you are actively having water getting into your attic space. So usually these are near bathrooms, sometimes kitchens, and you said you had a leak in your bathroom, right?
Right.
That's, I'm about 100% sure that's what's causing it for you. And then you can see here, this is more of the roof. It looks like your chase pan, which is the top of your chimney, is starting to rust out. Not necessarily going to cause you any leaks, but over time that can start to rust through, as well as some people don't like to have rusty stuff up on the roofing system. We can replace those as well. I didn't know if you wanted that included in your estimate.
Yeah, might as well
Include that? Okay.
I assume it should be a bit easier to do since you guys are already up on the roof, right?
Yeah, if we're already up there, I mean, we do have a separate crew come out and do that. Our roofing guys do our roofing, our chimney guys do our chimney. That way they're able to be more efficient, do a better job for you.
Okay.
This would be kind of a custom ordered piece. It's also the way they design them. They're stainless steel and they have little ridges so that water doesn't set on them, it just sheds off. You can see there's your other pipe boot that's split apart. Anytime you see a nice nick in your pipe boot, that means it's a good place for water to come in. Usually what happens is when that water starts to come in, and it'll actually drop into your insulation, and then your insulation absorbs a lot of that water, and then it finally gets through into your drywall. So if you've noticed the leak, how long have you noticed the leak in your bathroom?
Couple months now.
Couple months. My guess is it's probably been leaking for a year, probably longer. You can see from the pictures that I showed you of the attic, the insulation's wet and musty.
Right.
There's a nice HD picture for you. Nothing like seeing water run in clear HD, right? This is the rest of the house. I like the flag. Well done. Looks really good next to our vehicle, doesn't it? This is my mobile billboard there. So again, the rest of the plane doesn't look horrible shape, definitely wearing out, breaking down. And then when a roof gets to this point, it has so many things going on, it's just best to get it all done at one time. So you can see there even more wearing out. And then I did take a picture beside it, and you had a loose piece. I was able to tuck that back in for you. So can't guarantee it'll never come off again, but at least for now, it's not going to be going anywhere with that wind we're having. So as far as your roofing system, from everything I showed you, do you have any questions about any of the pictures we looked over?
No.
Everything makes sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of looks like it's about time to get a new roof, huh?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But
Were
not
you
long enough.
were you surprised by anything you saw?
Not really.
Okay, kind of had a feeling this is where we were at.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me get my notepad out here, and then let's start talking about your roof.
Sounds good.
All right, it's John, right?
Yep.
John, okay. So a couple questions for you, John. How long you guys lived here?
About 30 years now.
30 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, when it comes to looking at the roof, picking out parts and pieces, making any decisions, is there anyone else involved in the process with you, John?
No, just me.
Just you?
Yep.
So no one else picking out colors or anything like that?
Nope.
No? Just you?
Yep.
Live here by yourself then?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So when it comes to replacing the roof, you're able to make, if you love the company and you loved our roofing system and, you got a good deal, you'd feel comfortable making a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 decision?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So when it comes to your roof, you said you've been here 30 years. How old did you say the roof was? 27? 27 years?
Got
Okay,
put on a couple years after I moved in.
gotcha. And how long do you plan on staying here?
Oh, I don't know. Thought about selling it a couple times, but don't know if I can actually do it.
Okay, so 5, 10, 15?
At least 5, not more.
No more than 5?
At least 5, probably more.
At least 5?
Yeah.
So, okay. 5 indefinitely.
Yeah.
I know. I bought my house, plan to be there for 2 years. I'm gonna be there a while.
I keep thinking about downsizing, but
Yeah. I mean, you have a beautiful home here.
right.
This is a super nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave the house and the home.
Yeah. And it,
Easier just to stay.
yeah. I mean, usually you get a nice house like this, you accumulate a lot of stuff, and so downsides and then becomes difficult, right?
Comes quite a chore.
Yeah. Anytime I get a chance to come over to this area, I'm happy. It's a nice area of town. So, so let me ask you, when it comes to your, doing your roof, if and when you were to do a project like this, what are a couple things you're looking to accomplish, hoping to achieve? I mean, realistically, John, what's most important to you?
Looking actually to kind of change up the look of the house a bit with it.
Okay.
Want to change the color up.
Okay. What color are you thinking of going with? Do you have any ideas?
I was thinking of some type of red.
Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not completely red, but just a hint of red.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pull out some colors from the bricks down low.
Yeah, we actually we have some gray roofs that have that splash of red. We call it our cobblestone. We have some more brownish red roofs as well. So I'll show you some of those. Anything else you're looking to accomplish when doing the roofing system? Anything else you're looking for?
Just a good quality in case I do stay here for indefinitely. You got to make sure you're not going to have to replace it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if I sell it, I got to make sure that I can sell it pretty easily.
Sure, absolutely. Anything else?
I don't think so, no.
All right. Well, let me show you this here. Like I said, this is a little information about our company. So obviously, we've got names Integrity Home Exteriors. This is what's called our foundation and core values. So our foundation is we are a faith-based company. Our owner endeavors to use biblical principles to guide him through the decisions he makes as a business owner. And from that, he developed what's called our core values. These are things that are really important to us. These are things that we look for when bringing people on board our team. And then ways that we want to treat our customers. So first is family. We want to treat everyone like their family. That means doing the same type of work on your house that we would do on our own. It's also where we get what's called our win-win-win philosophy. So first, customers got to win. If you're not winning, nobody's winning. And second, our employees have to win. That way they're motivated to do their jobs well and treat our customers and each other in a professional and motivated manner. And then last, the company's got to win. So we got to be around 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now in order to take care of our customers and service our warranties and things like that, right? Next is integrity. we believe if it's on our trucks, if it's on our shirts, and it's on our company name, this is something that we should be implementing into our everyday lives. So integrity means doing what's right even when nobody's looking, and that's how we want to do every job. And then the pursuit of elite. So whenever we do a project, we want to do it right the first time. So when it comes to replacing your roofing system, we're always looking to grow and improve the processes and the materials and systems that we use to make sure we're offering the best product available. Now, we give out lifetime warranties on our roofing systems, and we don't want to put something up there that we're going to constantly have to maintain for free, right? And then last but not least is what's serving others. This is one of the things I love most about my job, is going out, meeting new people, finding people with problems and being able to offer solutions in order to protect their home and make their lives simpler. So when it comes to our core values, I mean, are these the values that you would want to see in a company working on your home?
Oh, definitely.
Awesome. And then a little bit about us. So this is the owner, Adam Becker. He's got a lot of kids, all daughters. It's going to be fun when they all get married. You better start saving now, right?
Right.
So Adam was born and raised in the Toledo area. So how that benefits you is, unlike a lot of companies that have CEOs that live in California or overseas and they're trying to manage the business long distance and they're not really able to be involved, Adam is very hands-on. He's in the office every day, implementing what's best for his customers and the way he's wanted to run his business. We started doing roofing in 2000, so we've been in business for over 20 years. And we are, like I said, are locally owned and operated. So we're located right over by UT's campus in South Toledo. And then we do over 1,000 full replacements every single year. In addition to that, we'll probably do another 1,000 to 1,500 repairs. So when we do a repair, that's when we go out to somebody's home and maybe they don't need a whole new roof replaced, but they have a leak or something like that going on. That way we're able to accomplish that without having to spend $30,000 putting a new roof on. I'm sure you can appreciate not only working with a local company, but a company that's experienced as well, right?
Right.
Next, this is just kind of the evolution of our company. So some of the different products that we offer. In 2003, we started in siding. Obviously, 2000, we started roofing, right? In 2003, we did siding and gutters. In 2006, started doing windows and doors. 2011, started our own lawn care and snow removal. And in 2012, we started our own roof maintenance division. So this is our warranty and repair department. So like I said, we do about 1,500 repairs every single year. But in addition to that, they service all of our warranties. So most companies, if you have an issue, if you have a warranty that they honor, they'll say, yeah, we'll send somebody out when things slow down. Well, in our industry, things slow down Christmas time. So if you got a leak in February, you may not get it fixed for 10 months. With our company, we actually have a department that can send someone out in 24 to 48 hours to take a look at if you're having an issue with one of our roofing systems. So it gives you some peace of mind that if you had any concerns, we'd be able to address them right away. And then last but not least, in 2015, we partnered up with Universal Windows Direct. That's why they're on my sleeve here. So they make all of our windows, doors, siding. They're one of the 20th largest remodelers in the country. Actually, they're in the top 10. And it just allows us to get materials and windows, custom-made products at a better value. So now let me ask you, after looking at all the different things we have to offer, was there anything else you wanted me to look at while I was out here today?
No, I think just the roof.
Just the roof? Okay. Everything else looks pretty good. Next, we are insured. That's good, right?
Right.
So first, everybody, including myself, has workman's comp. So if anyone comes out to your property, steps off a ladder, falls off the roof, gets attacked by the watchdog, steps on a nail even, no one's going to be coming after your homeowner's insurance. Everybody's got a cousin whose brother's aunt's nephew hired a guy to come clean their gutters. He fell off the roof and now he's trying to sue him for $100,000. Have you met anybody who's had to deal with that?
Not exactly, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a pain, right?
Right.
So we want to make sure everyone's covered. So if anyone does get injured, they're 100% taken care of. In addition to that, we do insure your home up to $2 million. You think $2 million would cover your home?
No, I think so.
Just barely, right?
No, yeah.
Okay. We do some commercial work as well, which is why we carry so much. But our philosophy is it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right?
Okay.
So unlike some companies who Unfortunately, not every company is insured. Some don't have any at all. Some, if they do, they're only carrying $5,000 to $10,000, and that's not going to cover your car, let alone your house, right?
Right.
So we believe it's important to make sure all our bases are covered, and I'm sure you can appreciate working with a company that covers their bases, right?
Yeah.
Next here, we have our certificates and awards. So let me ask you, have you guys ever heard of Angie's List? Not you guys, you, sorry. Maybe you got a mouse in your pocket, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's actually where I saw you guys on.
Okay, awesome. Well, every year, Angie's List, I don't know if you saw this when you were on there, but they give out an award called their Super Service Award. It goes to only the top 5% of all the companies on their site. And we've received that every single year since they started giving it out in 2010. And last year, actually, we had the most positive reviews for any home improvement company on their site in our area. Excuse me. And in addition to that, have you ever heard of the Better Business Bureau?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we have an A+ rating with them. We're also certified through Recommended Roofer. So Recommended Roofer, in order to receive their certification, that means you have to have a long-standing history of good customer relations and good quality workmanship. We're actually only 3 companies in the entire state of Ohio that have that. The other 2 are down in Columbus. We also have what's called our Technician Seal of Safety. This is where we background check, drug test, and make sure all of our installers are quality trained, professionally trained in the quality workmanship. Roofers, sometimes you can have a stereotype where you don't really know who's coming out to your home, and then you get your roof done, but magically your grill disappears. We want to avoid that if possible, right? And then in addition to that, we do what's called green screening, where we recycle as much of the old material as possible. That way we're not throwing an entire roof's worth of asphalt into a landfill. Let me ask you, would you ever work with someone who wasn't at least a member of the Better Business Bureau, if not all these other affiliations and accreditations?
No, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah, got to make sure you're protecting yourself, right?
Right.
Next thing here, you can see these are the top 4 major manufacturers of shingles in our market. They do probably 95% of all the shingles out there. Did you have a preference with which brand you wanted to use?
Not really. The only one I know about is Owens Corning.
Owens Corning?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of work in the area. We probably do, other than Atlas, we do a lot of work with Owens Corning as well. But I'll make my recommendation what I think would fit best for what you're looking to accomplish. We are what's considered a platinum contractor. So whenever we do a project, you're ensuring that you get the best warranties from the manufacturer. Not everybody out there is a certified contractor. And if someone's not certified, a lot of times you lose your manufacturer's warranty. The problem with that is a lot of companies, they give you these warranties, but they're actually just the manufacturer's warranty. And if the manufacturer doesn't honor their warranty because they're not certified, I mean, you could spend $30,000 on a new roof and get no warranty. I mean, probably wouldn't make you very happy, right?
Right.
So we just make sure all of our warranties are up to date, and I'll make my recommendation on a shingle here in a second. And then this is what's called our home improvement checklist. So just making sure the bases are covered for you. So like I mentioned, we are insured, have workman's comp. We're also licensed. So not every roofing company out there is licensed. You're actually not required to be licensed in the state of Ohio. Now the problem with that, if you're not licensed, you can't pull a permit. And if you don't have a permit, excuse me, and the city steps by, guess what happens?
Probably get some fines.
Get some fines. They also have to stop the job. And then guess who gets to go downtown and pull a permit?
Probably me.
You do, right? And then guess who gets to pay the fines?
Probably me.
You do. In addition to that, going downtown, pulling permits, that takes time. A lot of times you're left with your home exposed while you're trying to get all this stuff sorted out. And again, your home, it's a very nice house. I'm sure you would not like to have to stop mid-project and go downtown and pull permits and leave your home exposed overnight, right?
Right.
So we make sure any and all permits are pulled and in order. So once we start the project, we are able to finish it. There's no extra fees, no extra costs for pulling those permits. They're all included in your job cost. In addition to that, we are a brick and mortar location. So like I said, we're right over in South Toledo near UT's campus. And the nice thing about that is we're not working out of our truck. We're not working out of our garage, where you try and call someone and they just change their cell phone provider. You can stop by our shop anytime. We're actually open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 8, and then we're open on Friday, 8 to 5, and then we're open on Saturday, 9 to 2. So we don't work on Sundays. We're like the Chick-fil-A of roofing companies. But if you ever have questions, you can call the office or reach out to me directly. We are also trained and certified, like I mentioned before. Every job has a quality control personnel and process in place. We call them our customer experience managers. So for every different product that we offer, we have a different customer experience manager. So what they do is they'll go out to a job, they'll do a scope of it, double check all the measurements, make sure that we know exactly how much product we're going to need before we start the project. That way we don't have to stop halfway through, go down to Home Depot and try and find more shingles that are going to match. The other thing he does is he scopes it out, finds the best place for the dumpster. Once the job is in progress, he's going to be coming out, checking up on the work. Since he's not the one who's doing the work, he's got no problem making them do something over if he's not happy with the way it looks. And then once the job's completed, he's going to go over everything with you, make sure you're happy with the cleanup, make sure you're happy with the look of the roof, make sure you're satisfied with the overall experience. So that way, if you have any questions, you're not going to have to try and track somebody down. Some companies will come out, they'll do the work, they'll take off, and then you're left with making sure it got done properly. Do you do a lot of roofing?
No.
No. So you probably don't want to have to double check everyone's work.
Right.
We are EPA lead-free certified, so if we do run into any lead paint, we are able to dispose of it without any third parties or extra fees. We've all seen the guys in the white suits that have to come out to the jobs, and all I see there is money, 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 right? So if somebody runs into that, it could cost you a lot. How old is the house? You said 30 years?
No, the house is probably 60 years.
60 years old? Okay. We do drug test, background check all of our workforce. And then the last but not least is our completion certificate. Now, let me ask you, I'm sure you'd agree it's worth it to invest more with a company that has all their I's dotted and T's crossed, right?
Right.
But like I said, this is our completion certificate. So our completion certificate was designed to not only meet but exceed your expectations. So it does a couple of things for you. First thing it does is it's kind of a survey. It asks when I came out, was I on time? Was I friendly? Did I explain everything to you? But more importantly, when the installers come out, did they install in a timely fashion and did they clean up after themselves? Because when it comes to home improvement projects, the two biggest things people complain about is first, the kitchen. You were supposed to have it remodeled in 6 weeks. It's been 6 months and you're still eating out of a Frisbee on your kitchen couch, right? Living room couch, and that is now your kitchen. And the next thing is you're backing out of your driveway, you're on your way to work, you hit a nail. You don't know it because your tire didn't explode, but you get halfway to work and now you're on the side of the highway with a flat tire calling AAA. Probably not a great way to start your week, right? So probably not. No. So what we do is we have a very rigorous child and pet safety cleanup. We go out with rakes, magnets, brooms, make sure everything's cleaned up. And even if you notice something and it's been days or weeks or months later, just give us a call. We'll come out and do a full another cleanup for you. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right. And then the last thing that this does is, a lot of companies, they'll ask for 50 or 75 or 100% of your investment up front. What we do is if you are doing cash, check, credit card, something along those lines, it's usually a small initial deposit and not another penny is due until the entire project is completed and you sign off on it. We also have several different financing options available, and those wouldn't start until the entire project was finished either. Usually it's 15 to 30 days after the work's been completed that you would receive that first letter in the mail from them. So did you know which route you were interested in using for your roof?
Kind of just depends on how much it's going to be.
Okay. Always does, right?
Right.
All right. So when it comes to our completion certificate, do you see how this was designed to meet and exceed your expectations?
Yep.
Keep you in control?
Right.
Let you hold on to the checkbook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's your house. You should be in control, right?
Right.
And as far as our company goes, from everything you've seen, does Integrity Home Exteriors at least seem like the type of company that would make you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Awesome. And from being locally owned and operated to our completion certificate, what made you feel most comfortable?
Definitely the completion certificate and the quality control.
Yeah. Anything else?
I like your core values too.
Awesome. I do too. That's one of the things that really drew me to the business as a whole. Anything else?
I think that's about it.
Those are great things, aren't they?
They are.
All right. So next I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the roofing system. So roofing systems, the way we approach them, they're really broken down into three major pieces. You have your materials, your ventilation, and the installation part of your project. And we break this down based off of percentages wise. So first I'll tell you a little bit about the materials. So when it comes to your roofing system, one of the things we noticed up on your roof that we talked about was the discoloration, right? And that was the algae. So when it comes to algae, like I said, usually you start to see that about 5 to 10 years down the road. As a matter of fact, 3 out of the top 4 manufacturers only warranty against that for 10 years because they know it's not a matter of if, but when it's going to have problems, right?
Right.
Atlas, however, they actually warranty against the algae for a full lifetime. So as long as you own the home, if you ever have algae up on your roof, we'll get it taken care of for you. They do this in a couple different ways. So first thing is they use Scotchgard. You ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Scotchgard and 3M. So what that does is they put a protective coating on the shingles in the manufacturing process. That's going to keep those shingles, a lot of that stuff from adhering to the roof. And then the other thing that they do is they put copper granules into the roofing system. So what the copper does is it's coated to look like the pebbles on your roofing system, and then that is put into the shingles. The copper uses an antimicrobial effect and actually actively kills algae from growing and prevents it from growing on your roofing system. So other companies that use copper in their shingles or algae-resistant shingles are usually going to have about 1 to 2% of copper in those shingles, where Atlas uses up to 10 times more than other shingles to make sure that they've used 10 times more copper in their shingles than other companies. So this is actually a comparison of a house with the copper coating and without it. I mean, if you had to pick between this and you're spending $30,000 on a roof, which would you choose?
A good one.
The clean one, right?
Right.
I would too. A couple other things about Atlas I'll show you here real quick. So this is my way of being able to bring a shingle into your house without making a mess. So this is an Atlas shingle. So a couple things about it is the Atlas shingle is 42 inches wide, where most shingles are about 35 to 39 inches. And this has a 6-inch exposure, where again, most shingles have about a 5.5 to 5-inch exposure. The exposure is the part that you actually see. So it's a little bit larger shingle overall. One of the biggest benefits to that is it's going to cover more area. You're going to have less seams up on your roofing system. At times it can be easier to install. The other things about it too is when you nail down your second shingle, because it's as tall as it is, you put the nail through the top part and it actually goes through the top of the bottom one. So every shingle, instead of being nailed down 3 or 4 times like a normal shingle would, we actually put 5 nails across, so each shingle gets nailed down 10 times. So this does have 130 mile an hour wind resistance. Should be able to handle anything Toledo throws at it, right?
Right.
So it's got 130 mile an hour wind resistance in part to how it's attached. And then it also has 2 layers of adhesive. So when your second shingle goes down, you don't nail through the front of it. That adhesive on the back is going to secure the front part there. So most people just have 1 layer of adhesive. This one's going to have double. And then you have your nailing hem. So this is where you actually nail through the shingle. So architectural shingles, or the dimensional shingles, they're made up of 2 pieces. You have the top part with the raised tabs, and then you have a bottom piece with the recessed tabs. And the area where those overlap is your nailing hem. So when you nail a shingle to the roof, you want to make sure you go through both parts of that shingle, because if you go through just the top, that bottom part can eventually pull away, or if you go too low, then you have exposed nail heads. So you're either going to have your shingles blow away or you're going to have leaks everywhere. Which would you prefer?
Neither.
Neither, right? So most companies only have a 1/2 inch nailing hem, where Atlas has a full 1.5 inches. So imagine it's 100 degrees outside. You got a guy who's had 6 Mountain Dews already and 2 packs of cigarettes, and he's trying to nail through your roof. He's trying to get it done quickly, and he has a 1/2 inch target in a straight line how often do you think they're actually hitting it?
Maybe half.
Maybe half. So in addition to making sure our guys aren't in that condition, we are going to give them a larger target so that all of your roofing gets nailed down properly. The last thing about this, like I said, is it does have that algae-resistant warranty to it. So do you have any questions about the shingle as a whole?
No, I don't think so.
Does that seem like the quality of shingle you'd be happy with?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. And then we do have some different colors I'll show you in a minute. In addition to all the features I just showed you, Atlas also has an upgraded shingle that you can go to. So with this shingle here, realistically, even though you have a lifetime limited warranty, you're going to get about 30 years out of this roofing system. Now Atlas does offer what's called their StormMaster Shake shingle. We call it our gold roofing system. Typically with that gold roofing system, you're going to get an additional 10 years out of your roofing system. So what they use is what's called SBS. Let me show you here. I feel like a science major now. What they use is SBS, which is a pure silicone. It's almost like a rubber membrane that goes in your shingle. So like I mentioned before with the fiberglass, shingles are made up of layers. And what this additional layer does for you is a couple of things. So first, it's a class 4 impact resistant shingle. So it's going to be able to withstand impacts from hail, from tree branches, from if you're walking on the roof, things like that. That's going to keep the granules attached to the shingle for longer. So if you feel this right here, see how it feels pretty hard?
Yeah.
That's traditional asphalt that's used in shingles. Asphalt gets hard, brittle, eventually breaks apart, which is why roads have to be repaved. Now feel this side over here.
Jeez.
It's a lot tackier, right?
Yeah.
So this is the SBS. So imagine if you're going to have your shingle held together by this one here or this one here, which would you prefer?
Right. That's
The SBS. So it's also going to make it more flexible. So things expand and contract. Have you ever been in like a Ferris wheel or a skyscraper?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're actually designed to have a little give in them, to be a little flexible. So that way when they're taking all that wind, if they were very rigid, they would snap. So this being more flexible, it's going to allow the shingles to be more flexible. So I can show you here. Perhaps. I may have given it away because it was such a cool souvenir. So this is our SBS shingle here, and you can actually roll this up like a burrito, and none of the granules fall off. It's that flexible. And I've been using the same shingle sample since I started doing this. So this bad boy here is about 4 years old, gets rolled up about once a day. So, and it still has all its parts and pieces. Now, like I said, because of that, it is going to give you about 10 more years out of your roofing system. It does cost more, right? And you said, how long do you plan on being here?
5 to forever.
5 to forever. So do you think this is something that you'd be interested in?
I think so.
You think so?
It seems
Okay.
like it could be worth it.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I can price it up for you. That way you can at least see and have that option, okay?
Okay.
Another great thing about that is depending on who your homeowner's insurance is through, sometimes you can get lowered premiums because it's less of a risk and liability to your homeowner's insurance. It's always good to get back a win with those guys, right?
Right.
But all in all, any questions about the Atlas shingle?
No, I don't think so.
Seem like the type of shingle you'd be happy with?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then next is the ventilation. So when it comes to your roofing system, ventilation is a very important piece. So the first thing when you really look at is obviously attics, they're going to be a different temperature than your house, right?
Right.
In the summer, they tend to get pretty
Yeah.
hot, right? So what happens is if you don't have good airflow, all that hot air is going to get trapped. And it's going to go one of two places. It's either going to keep going up and it's going to bake your shingles from underneath. So have you ever seen a roof where the shingles are kind of curled and they wing up towards the bottom?
Yeah.
So that's caused by the shingles getting baked from underneath and causing them to curl. And then what also happens is it pushes down into your living space, which can increase your energy bills. Your energy. You ever notice how the top upstairs in your house is going to be warmer than the downstairs?
Yep.
So poorly ventilated houses, you're going to get even more of a contrast with that. So in order for a roof to be properly ventilated, you need intake and exhaust. So you need an area for the air to come in and you need an area for the air to exit. So what you usually would see that intake is in your soffits. So you do have soffits, which are your overhangs on your roof, and they are ventilated, which is good. So that's area for the air to come into the home. If you don't have those, usually you're going to have to create a hole, add those, and it can be an expensive process. Now, once your air comes in through the bottom, it needs to flow through your attic, across your decking, and then exit out the vents on the top of your home, which are typically going to be a can vent, which are those metal boxes you see, or a ridge vent, which goes across the peak of your house.
Right. Like the one I have.
Like the one you have, correct. So I'll explain some of the benefits of the ridge vent that we use, but the biggest thing is we want to make sure we're keeping your home properly ventilated. Biggest reason being if a home's not properly ventilated, you're going to get mold up in your home. Obviously, that's the one thing everybody wants to store in their attic other than Christmas lights is mold, right?
Oh, of course.
You can also get nail condensation. So imagine you got a nail, when you nail a shingle on, you got thousands and thousands and thousands of nails coming through your roof. And if it's really cold on the outside, but there's no airflow, so it's really warm in the attic, the cold air hits, the warm air, hits the cold nail and does what? Condensates. And then when that cools down or it warms up, that starts to drip, and then it drips all through your attic space. And then obviously, like I talked about, it blisters and curls your shingles from underneath. So you can have a roof that's supposed to last you 30, 40 years, but if they mess up the ventilation or if it's not ventilated properly, they'll actually there's no guarantee how long it will last. So even though you have everything you need in order to make a roof vented, if someone came up and they just rolled underlayment over top of your ridge vent and put the ridge vent down, you have no ventilation now. So the process is a very important piece. I mean, after taking a look at this, I'm sure you can agree ventilation is an important part. Next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the installation part of a roofing system. So we have a saying here at Integrity that the most important day in the life of your roof is the day that your roofing system is installed. Because you can have the best materials in the world, you can have the best ventilation systems in the world, but if it's put together improperly, you're going to have a bad roofing system. So I can have all the pieces to build a Ferrari in my garage, but I'm probably not going to come out with the same car as they would make at Ferrari, right? So first thing I like to show everybody is these are excerpts from all 4 major manufacturers, the 2 reasons why they don't cover their warranty. So the first one is faulty or improper application. So improper ventilation, improper insulation, improper fastening, and improper or faulty installation. So if a roof's not installed properly, they're not going to cover their warranty. The other one is inadequate attic ventilation. Inadequate ventilated, inadequate attic ventilation, or inadequate ventilation. So again, if it's not ventilated properly and if it's not installed properly, they're not going to cover their warranty. That's the main reason why we go over both of those for you, to make sure everything's in place. Because I'm sure if you were going to spend $30,000 on a new roof, you'd want to make sure it had a warranty, right? Okay, so getting to some of the parts and pieces. So the first thing you have is your drip edge. So when it comes to your roofing system, you have your gutter and it sits on the edge of your home. And then with that, what goes on first is your drip edge. So your drip edge is going to sit on the edge of your roof and cover over the edge of your gutter so that when the water comes off your roof, it actually goes into the gutter system. Now the problem is, this is a standard type of drip edge. Gutters have to tilt slightly in order for water to flow. When that happens, especially if you have long runs like you do, like 30, 40 feet, you start to get gaps. And I don't know if you've ever poured a coffee mug into the sink and the water kind of rolls back down the mug. It's going to do the same thing to this here. And the water is going to get behind your gutter and then it's going to start dripping on your fascia. It's going to stain your siding, all those types of things. So what we do differently is we use this drip edge here. So it's a much larger drip edge so that when the water comes off your roof, your gutters can be tilted as much as it needs to without exposing your house. Now, if you were going to spend $30,000, $35,000 on a new roof and you had to choose between this one and this one, which would you prefer? This one, right? I would too. The other thing is with your plywood. So whenever we do a roof, have you ever seen this on a roof before where it looks like the ridges start to pop over time? That's called delamination. So what happens is plywood's typically made up of different layers. That's what goes down as your roof decking. And when you tear off an old roof, the plywood at times can start to delaminate. So even though it's not rotten, when you put the new roof down, the plywood is still delaminated, and what happens is over time it starts to separate. So even if you had a brand new roof with the best shingles on the market, but the plywood wasn't properly secured, you can start having issues all over again. So one of the things that we do is we go through and we re-nail all of the wood on your entire roofing system, making sure all the seams are nailed together so that when the new roof goes on, it's going to be nice and smooth. You're not going to have any issues. The next part of our system, we call this our extreme prep package between the wood and this part here, is we use IceGuard. So IceGuard is a very thick membrane that by code is required to go 2 feet into the heated structure of your home down here on the edge. What that protects you from is if you ever have ice buildup or snow, when the water gets to the exterior of your roof, you have that overhang. Usually it's going to be colder there, so water can refreeze. And snow and ice, when it's on your roof, will slowly melt and will keep other water from running off. So shingles were designed for water to run off, not sit on top of, because the water will soak through if water is just sitting there. So this is designed so that even if water soaks through your shingles, it's not going to damage your roofing system. Now, most companies, hopefully they're doing it at code, but we go a little bit further. We'll do it in all of your valleys, which can trap snow, ice, moisture around any of your skylights or major penetrations, as well as your chimney. So we found that these areas can tend to be more problem areas. The most potential area for a leak on your roof, we want to make sure it has extra protection. The other thing that we do is when it comes to your underlayment, which goes underneath your shingles, most people are going to use like a tar paper, and tar paper is going to go over your roofing system. It's an organic product. So, and then, combination to it tasting bad, it actually decomposes. So over time, it actually breaks apart. If water ever gets through, it absorbs, it soaks it in, and then it falls apart. Usually when you tear an old roof off, if it has tar paper, the tar paper comes off in 1,000 little pieces. What we do differently is we actually use a synthetic underlayment. So it's this material here. Let me actually show you a bigger piece of it, if I've got it in here. So this is the material that we use. It's synthetic. So if you can tear this, I'll give you $1,000 off your roof. So it's very durable stuff. It's woven like a tarp, and you can feel it here. It's actually has as like a waxy waterproof material. So this was originally designed for new construction homes when they would build the home, put the roof on, and then they wouldn't actually get around to shingling the roof for quite some time. So a synthetic underlayment can withstand anywhere from 60 to 180 days of direct weather, 90 to 180 days of direct weather, I'm sorry. Now it does come in a few different colors. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue. So if you don't see the green up there, don't worry, just have them cut you a piece, test it, make sure. Only reason I tell you is I had a customer who they were putting the blue one up there. They started to panic, so we went out there and just showed them it was the same thing. Let me ask you, if you were going to put a roof on, would you want something that fell apart over time or something that actually lasted and performed for you? Lasted and performed, right? The other piece too is how the roof is nailed. So when you're putting a roof together, you're putting thousands and thousands and thousands of nails into your roofing system. So first thing is when you're nailing into a roof, there's a couple things you got to keep in mind. You want to make sure the nail goes in straight directly and it doesn't have too much power. So if a nail goes in too far, it's actually going to blow through the shingle and the shingle is not going to be held together. The other thing is if the nail goes in sideways, then it's going to pop the shingle above it, so that one's not sealed properly. Or if it doesn't go in enough all the way, it's going to do the same thing. So if a shingle isn't nailed properly, you can either have a leak, or another leak. Which would you prefer? Probably none of the above, right? So this just comes down to the guy who's installing the roof, making sure he's properly trained, making sure his air compressor is gauged accordingly. And in addition to nailing it properly, we actually use a different type of nail. Most nails that you see are going to be smooth. What we use instead is what's called a ring shank nail. So what this does is it actually takes the grip and hold of a screw and combines it with the ease of install of a nail. So what happens is instead of just having a smooth nail that's going to pull out when you get the expansion and contraction of your roofing system, this one's actually going to hold really tight, hold everything together for you. We saw a few nail pops up on your roof. Nail pops are pretty common. It's when the nail starts to pop its way back out of the roof. With these new nails, that's not going to happen. So it actually has 40% more holding power than a normal nail. And again, if you were going to invest $30,000 in a roof, I'm sure you'd at least want your nails to stay in place, right? The other piece is the ventilation. So we talked about this before. You do have a ridge vent up on your home. So again, most vents most people use, this is a standard ridge vent. This is made by Owens Corning. It's made out of a corrugated plastic, has a few issues. So one, it's not a very durable material. So over time it can split, it can crack. But also if you look inside here, it has these little holes and it relies on the air in your attic to get hot enough so that the hot air rises and exits out these holes. The problem you run into though is, especially if your roof's not very steep, which yours isn't, when the wind and rain come, it actually pushes moisture back into your attic space. That's what this is for. This isn't a dryer sheet to make your attic smell better. This is actually designed to catch water that's coming into your attic. So first, I'm not super excited about using a product that actually is designed to have a backup plan because they know it's going to fail. But in addition to that, when you have something that's going to catch water, you get one of two things happening. Either one, it is closed enough pores that water can't get through, but you're not going to get much air through. Or it's going to have an area where you can get enough air through, but it's actually not going to allow, it's not going to stop water from getting in. So if you had to choose between no air or water in your attic, do you have a preference? They're both bad, right? So what we use instead is this ventilation system here. So this sits on your roof like so. It comes in long runs. It goes from one end to the other. There's a couple of features about it that are pretty unique. So first of all, it's made out of a PVC plastic, so it's a lot more durable. And then on the bottom side, you'll actually see it has these baffles. So what that does is it allows air to pass through, but not come back in. You don't want air coming back in through the top because then it creates back pressure and it doesn't allow the roof to ventilate properly. In addition to that, it does have a mesh here that keeps mosquitoes and things like that out of your attic space. But probably the most impressive part, in addition to, it does have shingles over the top, so it blends in nicely with your roof. The most impressive part is these wings that are out here on the side. So what these wings do is when air is coming up your roof, it hits this wing and gets pushed back out. And then the air comes up from behind and pushes over top. When it does that, it creates a low pressure zone here and it actually draws air out of your attic. It's like the bed of your pickup. I don't know if you've ever had like a wrapper or hay or leaves in your bed of your truck, and you've seen a car drive by and all the stuff gets sucked in the air and blown out. I call it guilt-free littering. What it does is it actually draws air through your attic space. And remember earlier we talked about how important ventilation is. This ventilation system compared to this one actually moves 7 times more air out of your attic. So if having a properly ventilated roof is critical to not only the look of your roof, the function of your roof, but the warranties of your roof, and you had to choose, which one would you pick? This one, right? Same. The other piece we have, now in your case, you have soffit vents, which are going on the underside of your soffit. Now, if someone didn't have that, what we actually use is this is called our edge vent. So edge vent actually goes right up above the edge of your roof line. We cut a small hole down the edge of your roof, and then this goes on, and then it's shingled over top. And now what happens is all the way from one end to the bottom, on the bottom of your roof line, you have these vents. It's baffled on the inside to keep moisture, to keep wind or not wind, I'm sorry, to keep moisture from getting into your attic space. And then it does have a mesh to keep bugs and things like that out. But now you have an area for air to come in and then exit out the top here without actually having to do any major construction to your home. Pretty impressive, right? The other thing we do is what's called our specialty shingles. So when it comes to installing a roof, most people, you have what's called your starter strip. Your starter strip goes on the very edge, and it's what you attach your first row of shingles to. Like I mentioned before, we don't nail through the bottom of the shingles. That is actually attached from underneath with the adhesive. So most people will take a shingle, they'll cut off the top, they'll flip it over and use it on the bottom. The problem with that is it wasn't designed to do that. So it doesn't really hold as well, and shingles are kind of built like dominoes. So if that first row gives way, what do you think happens to the rest of your roof? Kind of comes apart. So what we do is we use a special starter strip. It has extra adhesive. It's high quality. That way when you put your roof together, you don't have to worry about it coming apart at a later time. In addition to that, you have the ridge on your roof. Now, we saw from your pictures that your ridge, or the peak, is actually where the most damage is. And that's not uncommon. Usually, people take a shingle and that's supposed to lay flat. They cut it up and then they bend it over. And what happens is over time, because that shingle is not designed to be bent, you start to have a lot of tension and wear on the center of that shingle, and it starts to break and give way. Now, over a long period of time, you're going to have more issues, and you're going to have to do repairs to the ridge of your roof long before the rest of the roof needs any work done. So what we use is we use our Z Ridge Cap, which is a specialty shingle. It's flexible. It's designed to sit on the ridge of your roof, so that way it'll last just as long, if not longer, than the rest of your roofing system without giving you any issues. Now, if you were going to choose between leftover scraps and used parts and pieces to finish off your roof, or actually designated material, and you're spending like 30, 40 grand on a roof, which would you choose? The designated ones, right? The other thing that we want to make sure we do with your roofing system is the flashing. So this is something not everybody does. They'll come in, if they tear off the first roof, sometimes they don't. If you don't tear off the first roof, you can't redo any of the flashing. And flashing is what ties your roof into walls, into chimneys, all of those types of things. So what we do is, first, for chimneys, we have, if you have a brick chimney, we have what's called flash and counter flashing. So your flashing, one end tucks underneath the shingle, the other end goes up against the chimney. And then most people will do just that type of flashing. Then they'll put a bead of caulk here, and then what happens is over time that caulk eventually breaks apart, and then if your chimney's here, some of that water starts to go down and then it drips into your house. So what we do is we take another piece of flashing, let me find it here. We take another piece of flash, which is called counter flashing, and we put it up over top. And then we actually grind slightly into your chimney, and then this actually goes into your chimney. So now, if you want the water to get into your house, it has to go down, come up, come underneath, go over, and then come back through. So this is just something that we do to make sure that all of your flashing is protected. And then if you have a wall that's at an angle, which you have two of those, we use what's called step flashing. So you should have a shingle, then a piece of flashing, then another shingle, then another piece of flashing, then another shingle, all the way down your roof. That way, if you ever have water that gets trapped in one area, it immediately can exit away from your wall. But if you just have one giant piece, which what some people do, it actually gets trapped behind there and the water has nowhere to go except for going into your home. I would say from all the repairs that we do, the majority of them are flashing related when it comes to a leak in the roofing system. In addition to that, we use what's called kick-out flashing. So any area where a gutter dies into a wall, we want to make sure we put a piece of kick-out flashing, because what happens is the water will actually push and drop down in between the wall and the gutter, causing leaking to get behind your siding or down your brick, and creates algae, or in worst case scenarios, it can even cause rotten issues that you won't know about. Nothing worse than coming outside and just seeing a big dent in your wall because it's been rotting for months and years and you never were able to tell, right? The The other option we have is metal valleys. So this is something that's optional. You don't really have a lot of valleys on your home, but if a home did, usually I would recommend the metal valleys for a few scenarios. One, if you have a really shallow roof, so it's not very steep, and you have a lot of trees. Because what can happen is if you have a low-pitched roof with a lot of trees, you get debris that gets stuck in your valleys. So what can happen is instead of it being flushed off properly, it just gets trapped up there and stains your roof. So the metal valleys actually are a smoother surface and helps push that debris off of your roofing system. Now, for you, there's not really a need for it unless you really like the aesthetics of it. Did you have a preference? No? Okay. And then last thing here is our pipe boots. So the pipe boots were issues you were currently having on your roofing system. So this is what a normal pipe boot looks like. In a typical pipe boot, you have your seal here on top. It's made out of a thin rubber. You can go ahead and feel that. And what happens is with that thin rubber, over time, like I mentioned before, it gets very brittle because of the sun and the UV rays. And then it expands and contracts with the hot and cold, and then eventually it splits. And if you notice here, you have a very thin contact area with the pipe and the boot. In addition to that, they're not necessarily custom. So if you have a larger pipe, you got to cut a larger hole. And again, imagine, it's 100 degrees outside. You got a guy with 6 Mountain Dews in the system, and he's trying to use the utility knife to make a perfect circle. Well, usually what happens is the cut isn't perfect. They end up putting a lot of extra tension on it, or they're relying on glue or silicone or tar or something like that to keep that from falling apart. Not really ideal. What we do differently, another thing I like to point out about this is it actually is fairly thin material. And what happens is, you nail it down here. If the house shifts or expands, it actually can cause it to warp a little. And then once you get a slight warp, it can get caught by the wind, and then it gets pulled around and played around with a lot more. So what we do differently is this one here. So this is our Lifetime pipe boot. It's actually manufactured right here in Ohio, made in the good old USA. And if you feel this, it's a lot heavier duty. So this is made out of pure silicone. So it's never going to dry rot with UV rays. And it actually has a couple inches of contact between the boot and the pipe, in addition to being a lot thicker. The other thing it has is these are custom sized for each pipe. So you have different pitches, you have different sized pipes. You put your adhesive on the inside, put the pipe in, and then it's sealed. In some situations, if we even need to put a clamp down, it has a space for that. In addition, it's a fairly strong metal material, so you don't have to worry about it warping or bending, as well as having pre-slotted nailing areas. That way, if your house ever shifts, it allows it to shift with the home. It is designed so it's a little more low profile. It's not as bright and shiny, so it blends into the roof a little bit better. And then this lip here on the bottom, when the rain hits it, it actually pushes water off to the sides instead of allowing it to roll back underneath. So again, if you're spending $30,000, $40,000 on a new roof and you had to choose between this one and this one, which would you prefer? This one, right? You're a smart man. So that being said, those are all the main parts and pieces to our IntegraShield roofing system. Let me ask you, is this the quality of roofing system you would want to see on your home 365 days a year? Awesome. And from our extended drip edge to our ventilation system to our underlayment, what did you like the most about our roofing system? Anything else? I mean, those are all great things, aren't they? So next is what to expect when we do a roofing system. So whenever we do a project like this, once an agreement is put in place, typically you'll be contacted within the first 72 hours by someone at our office. They'll call, they'll say, hey, saw that you guys placed an order. They'll kind of give you a checklist of some things to be aware of when we come out to do the roof, some things, make sure, if you got a man-eating watchdog, make sure he doesn't eat our employees, that type of stuff. We're going to double check all the measurements, make sure everything's done properly. Typically that's done by our project manager. One of the things that we use to measure all of our roofing systems is a 3D satellite that I took pictures of when I was out there originally that measures everything down to the inch. So it allows us to be very accurate. And then our customer experience manager is going to order those materials. So usually what will happen next is they will call and schedule out the work several days before we come out there, so you'll know which day we're coming out. Excuse me, and then they'll confirm that typically the day before or a day or two before. So the day that we start the roofing system, we'll deliver a dumpster, we'll deliver the materials, we'll put tarps up around and against the home as needed to make sure that your area is protected. And then we start with the tear off. So we're going to remove all of the old shingles, all of the underlayment, things of that nature. Biggest reason for that is make sure we have a nice solid foundation, but we also want to inspect and make sure that there's no rotted wood. Because if we tear everything off and then there's a ton of rotted wood, and we didn't know that if we just went over top. So I was up on your roof, I was walking around, everything felt really solid, looked pretty good on the underside. So shouldn't have to run into anything, but if we do have a fixed wood adder. So some people, they replace your roof, they find 200 square feet of wood, they charge you $10,000. At that point, you have to pay whatever they say because they already tore your roof off. What we have a fixed price per square foot. It's $3. And that way, if we run into 10 square foot, it's $30. And in order for us to even account for that, we first have to show you that it needs done. And then we have to take a picture proving that we actually replaced it. So once we're doing that, we're going to make sure we're cleaning up the debris as we go along. A project of your size shouldn't take too long, but if we ever do have to leave for the day to come back the next, we'll make sure we clean up as much as we can that night. Then we'll do our final cleanup when all the work's been completed. But then once we tore everything off and we have a good solid surface to work from, after we've re-nailed all of your decking, then we're going to install your ice guard. So that's going to go in all your valleys, on the edges, around your chimneys, around skylights if you have them. Then we're going to do our synthetic underlayment over the whole roof. Then we're going to install the new shingles. And then once everything's done, we'll go through with rakes, magnets, brooms, and do that cleanup for you. And again, I always like to remind people, if you ever see nails and it's been weeks or months later, please call us. We'll come out and do a full another cleanup. Sometimes, especially now when you got a lot of temperature flux in the air, the ground can be a little bit softer. Those nails settle in because people are walking back and forth. We rake, we magnet, get everything. And then when the ground freezes, some of those nails will resurface. So if you see those, don't worry. Just let us know. We'll come out and get them, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. And then once your roofing system is done, your customer experience manager will come out and do that inspection for you. He'll make sure the cleanup is done well, make sure everything looks good. He'll make sure you're happy with the overall experience. Then he's going to fill out that completion certificate with you. Excuse me. And then there'll be the final investment will be due. Or if you're using one of our financing options, that's when the financing would so the project would be completed and turned over to the financing. And then your IntegraShield guarantees kick in. So the first guarantee is what's called our no blame game guarantee. So this states that should a manufacturer make an excuse and refuse to honor their warranty, we will accept personal responsibility and repair your roof at no charge for the term of your agreement. Now that would be for as long as you own the home. So if Atlas ever moved overseas or got bought out by another company and they refused to honor their warranty, if there was ever an issue with the product, we will actually back the warranty ourselves. And if you ever do have an issue with the roof, call us. We'll reach out to the manufacturer for you. They tend to pick up the phone for people who do a lot of business with them, right? And in addition, if they ever for some reason didn't, we would cover that. The other one is our no leak guarantee. So this is what kind of differentiates us from a lot of people. A lot of people, they'll still give you a manufacturer's warranty, but their workmanship is where they don't always cover their warranty. So it says, in the unlikely event that your roof has any workmanship challenges, if it has any leaks, anything comes apart that shouldn't, we will make any necessary repairs at no charge to you for the term of your guarantee specified in your agreement. And for the roof you're looking at, that's for as long as you own the home. And that actually transfers 10 years to the next homeowner as well. So if you do end up selling it in 5-10 years, the next homeowner gets 10 years too. It's a nice selling point, right?
Right.
Again, like I said, most people, you'll get maybe 5, maybe 10 year workmanship warranty, usually because after 10 years, they know there's going to be some issues. And the thing with workmanship warranties is if there's ever an issue, all you got to do is blame it on the worker. And since that's not covered, you still have to pay for it. Now, do these seem like the type of guarantees that would give you the peace of mind your investment was protected?
Definitely.
Awesome. Ready to talk some turkey?
Oh, sure.
All right. So this is what's called our cost versus value report. This is a diagram put together by Remodeling Magazine. What they do is they go to different cities around the country. They send out thousands of surveys. Once they get 100 responses back, they publish these results so that you can get an idea on average in your area what a roofing system costs. It's like getting 100 different estimates, which would take a lot of time, right? So how they do this is for a 30 square roof, which I believe yours is 32 square. This is 32 square or 30 square of a 235 pound fiberglass asphalt shingle with a 25-year warranty. So a little bit more of a basic shingle. This is with new felt underlayment. So not the synthetic, but this is the felt. This is with the galvanized drip edge, so that standard drip edge. And this is with aluminum flashing. So a little bit more of a traditional standard roofing system, right? So in the Toledo, Ohio area, to do a project of 30 square would cost on average of $20,474. That's an average of $682 a square. Now your home is 32 square, so you're really looking at about $22,000 to do a project of this size. The good news is that in the Toledo area, you do have cost recoupment. So anytime you put a roof on your home, it is an investment. Now, you live in a nicer part of Toledo. Toledo, unfortunately, has some areas that aren't as great as others. So that does bring down this number a little bit. So you would typically see in this neighborhood a little bit closer to the national average, which would be about 60 to 70% cost recoupment. So day one, you're improving the value of your home. So that being said, why don't I put together your estimate for you so we can see what we're looking at, okay? While I'm doing that, I'm going to have you pick out some shingle colors here. So these are some of the different shingles that we have to offer. This would be for our silver roofing system. And then for gold, they have a few less colors. So did you know if you were still leaning towards gold or the silver roofing system?
I think the gold.
The gold one? Okay, perfect. So let me get some of those for you real quick here. Where is that? Ah, there it is. Thank you. So these are the different gold colors we have down here. Which one of those do you think would work best for you?
Oh, probably the majestic shade.
A majestic shake? Let's see. Oh, that is nice. Now that's more of a brown. Is that red enough for you for what you were looking for?
I think so. I think it looks like it has a tiny bit of red in it.
Yeah, a little bit. I actually think they have the majestic shake available. This one here.
Oh yeah.
So, is that what you were looking for?
Darker. It's got those darker and lighter tones in it. That'll work.
All right. So the gold. Okay. Let me grab my estimate here. So you got any fun plans for the weekend?
No, not really.
No?
No.
What do you normally like to do for fun?
I don't even know anymore.
Don't know anymore? COVID's got you down?
COVID has got me down.
Yeah.
We used to go camping, but they shut some of that down for us.
Oh, did they?
Summer.
Okay, so let me see here. Today is the 10th. Okay. Let me fill this out here. Where do you normally go camping at?
North
Whereabouts?
Traverse City.
Oh, that's a nice area. You ever go to like the Bear Dunes or?
Yeah, a couple times.
Nice.
A little exhausted now with little kids. So.
Yeah, you got kids?
Yeah. like
Yeah.
not living here currently.
Oh.